Go ahead and get started with our third bite-sized training here. That's OneDrive and SharePoint. And we're going to show you some cool tips and tricks to get the most out of those. Hopefully you learned something here. If not, hopefully reinforce some of the knowledge you already had. And we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. So again, just quick introduction. I'm Adam, CEO of Fairoaks IT. And this is our bite-sized training. Again, 15 minutes here going over some awesome OneDrive and SharePoint tips and tricks. And again, hopefully you learned something here. These are fast-paced trainings, so there's really no time for Q&A, but I always welcome you guys to shoot me an email if you have any questions. Always available for that anytime, and then you can go from there. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen here on some demonstration environments that I've got going here with OneDrive and SharePoint. And I'm just going to make sure that that's the right screen there. Awesome. So we're going to dive right into some OneDrive, some cool OneDrive stuff here. And for those of you who don't or maybe have never used OneDrive or aren't as familiar with things like SharePoint, this should be a good overview for you to understand that. And one of the things that I like to say is that for those of you who are used to having a file server, for example, or maybe are used to using something like Dropbox, this is very similar to that. Microsoft obviously sort of ruled the roost when it came to using file servers back in the day. So they took a lot of that functionality and moved it over to SharePoint. You can think of SharePoint as your modern day shared drive, but it's got a lot more features to it too, which is pretty exciting. And then OneDrive, you can think of that as sort of your modern day My Documents folder, where you can keep anything that is relevant to you, to yourself, work-related or personal. And the cool thing is that it actually syncs with your My Documents folder. So your documents, downloads, My Photos, etc., that all gets synced up to the cloud. And you can access it from things like the OneDrive app on your phone. Same with SharePoint. You can access SharePoint on your phone as well. So some really cool stuff, really opens up a world of just collaboration possibility. You can access these files from anywhere, and you can collaborate on these files with anyone, either in your organization or outside your organization. So really neat stuff there. I'm going to go ahead and dive into some of the OneDrive stuff here. And today we're going to be looking at both OneDrive and SharePoint Online. Both of these things are also available on your PCs themselves. And if we have some time, I'll show you what that looks like. But right now, we're just going to be looking at OneDrive and SharePoint Online. This is the experience that really from anywhere in the world, I'm going to show you here. Your jumping off place for any of these services, by the way, is just office.com. When you go to office.com, you'll be prompted to log in if you're not already logged in. I'm already logged into our demo environment here. Looks like my name today is Jordan Miller. This is our demonstration environment. Jordan works for a fictitious company that we put together. And I'm going to walk you through some of Jordan's OneDrive files here. And hopefully, again, you learned something. So office.com is always the jumping off point. From there, you can hit the 9 dots up here. That's going to bring you to really anywhere you want to go in the world of Office or Microsoft 365. In this case, we're just going to click the OneDrive button. And here's Jordan's OneDrive, or my OneDrive in this case. This is, again, the jumping off point for all of your files. To see your files, you can just go to My Files, and there they are. Again, think of this as your My Documents folder. I'm going to show you real quick, sort of just for some comparison purposes. This is my File Explorer on the right side of my screen here. You'll see, for example, Documents, Desktop, etc. Those are all the things that I'm talking about that can live here as well and sync back to your PC. So one of the first things I want to show you, and one of the first things that people always get really excited about when it comes to OneDrive is, oh, cool, now I can easily share my files with other people in my company, for example, or maybe even outside of my company. So I'm going to walk you through a quick little example of for Jordan here. And this is Jordan's timesheet, for example. Let's just pretend for a moment that Jordan's manager has said, hey, I need you to share your timesheet with me so I can review it on a weekly basis to, maybe process payroll or whatever needs to happen. So Jordan's been tasked with that hopefully simple thing to do, and it truly is simple. So this is Jordan's timesheet. I'm going to click on it just to show you real quick. When I click on a file, in OneDrive, it's actually going to open up that application. So in this case, Excel, within your web browser. This is a fully functional version of Excel. I can come in here, I can edit this, I can make formulas, for example, just like the real Excel. Drag that over, for example. I can do anything you can do in the real Excel. I can do that here and you can do this from any computer in the world, which is really fantastic. All your files in one place. So again, back to what I was getting at, let's say Jordan wants to share this file with his manager. His manager needs to approve the timesheet every week. That's really easy. All we're going to do is select the file here, just the checkbox, and there's a share button up top. We're just going to share that, and we're going to find, let's see, let's pretend, let's see, who can we find here? Oh, there she is, Megan. That's who I was looking for. Let's pretend Megan is Jordan's manager. So I'm going to select Megan. She's an organization. I can say, here is my timesheet for your review. And we can just either send that off. And if I click send here, Microsoft 365 is actually going to send her a sort of a canned message that says, hey, Jordan just shared this with you. It'll share whatever message you want to punch in there. In this case, what we just typed there on Jordan's behalf. When you hit send, she's going to get an email within 30 seconds, again, allowing her to click on it. And then also collaborate. If she wants to say, again, this is Jordan's manager, say she should be able to edit this. Well, you can select the permissions for that file, either edit, view, or maybe even you want to protect it even more to where they can't download it. In this case, it's Jordan's manager. She needs to be able to go in there and edit things on behalf of Jordan. So we're actually going to click Can Edit. In this case, Megan has just as much ownership over the file as Jordan does, unless at some point Jordan decides to remove her access. He can do that. And then we can hit send. Some other options here. If you would like to type your own email, and this is something I personally prefer to do instead of the canned one, especially if the person's not expecting it, you can actually copy the link for that file. This is the same link that Megan, in this case, would get if you just hit send here. Then I can go into my Microsoft Outlook, for example, right? And I can, it's going to go to Megan. I don't have Megan's email address here, but I'm just kind of making this up here. Can go to Megan, and here's my timesheet, and I can type whatever message I would like to type. You can be a little more verbose with it if you want. And then all I need to do is just paste that link. And that's the link that Megan's going to be able to click to be able to view that file. You send that email off, Megan, the manager, is going to be able to review it, and now Jordan's all set. I'll also show you what it looks like if I were to just hit send here. That's all it is. And it's actually saying you've invited her to edit, just confirming again that you chose the edit properties there. Really neat. So now you'll notice there's a column called activity over here. And that activity column, it says that you actually just shared that with Megan at a certain point in time, in this case, just now. There's some other things in here, though, some samples. I shared something 5 minutes ago. This one was shared back on March 4th. Let's say, for example, you do a lot of sharing and you want to clean house. You want to say, oh, I don't remember who I shared or what I shared with who. Want to make sure people that maybe shouldn't have access to things get removed. Well, they made it really easy. You can find on the left navigation pane here most things you want, but in this case, there's a shared button. In that shared button, not only can you see things that are shared with you, which is pretty cool, you can see things that are shared by you. And you'll see here, there's that timesheet we just shared with Jordan. And if I go here and click to the 3 dots on the file and click Manage Access, you'll see in here where we've added Megan to be able to share. Now, again, let's say Megan's not your manager anymore. She doesn't need to edit this file. Well, I can just click that over here, the little pencil, and I can say exactly what I want her to either have access to or not have access to. And I can actually restrict that there as well. So all sorts of really neat things you can do. And if you want to stop sharing altogether, you can even just click the stop sharing button. That way it just removes everybody, easy peasy. No need to, to have to go one by one. So that's sharing a file. Real quick, I want to point out sharing a folder. And a huge use case for this is, for example, maybe you run a business and you've got a bunch of clients that you do a lot of project work for. We do this actually. You might have a folder where you want to collaborate with that outside client on some project management, maybe a project management tracker or a design file. But you can share an entire folder actually with someone. In this case, I'm actually going to show you real quick how to make a new folder. And all you need to do is right click on the white space and add a new folder. And we're just going to call this client ABC. Maybe pick a nice calm blue color for them. We're going to create that. And there's client ABC's folder. And maybe you put that within a folder called client collaboration. But say it's really the same difference now to share. We're just going to click that. And then we're going to go to the share button. And now you can type the client's email address up here. Again, really simple. You can either copy the link or send it to them. Now, whatever file you put in there. So let's grab, for example, this file. We're going to throw that into the client ABC folder. All right, now you see it's there. Now, since we've shared the entire folder, anything you put in there, that person's going to be able to find and have access to, which is really neat. So that's sharing externally. That took up a bulk of my little talk today, but it's something that it can replace. If you pay for Box or Dropbox, it can replace that. Again, this is included in most Microsoft licensing, so it's kind of free already to use, so you might as well use it. You get quite a bit of space to store things, and the external collaboration is really neat. So I'm going to show you one other neat thing, and this is actually a follow-up on my Copilot conversation that I had, and I want to show you that now because the file actually lives here in my pretend OneDrive. One of the things you can actually do here is I can actually do some collaboration here, which is really neat. And collaboration meaning I can say this is my fake document here. I can circle things here, underline things, save changes here, and then share this with somebody else. They can collaborate just like we were sitting next to each other with a pen and a pencil to do that. So really cool stuff there. That file now too, I'm going to go to Copilot really quick. And this if any of you watched my first session, this was something I actually failed on. It didn't work. But I'm prepared now, and because I had that PDF open, I wanted to show you guys how powerful. And I'm all in. Again, I'm in the SharePoint OneDrive environment here. I'm going to go to. Let's see. I'm going to drag that file over from that SharePoint, and that was a boring IRS publication, right? I'm going to ask Copilot to summarize this PDF for me. So I've asked it, can you summarize this PDF for me? I'm going to send that along to Copilot. Again, a file that lives in the company SharePoint. And this is, I think it's like a 50-page document. Copilot within the SharePoint environment here has effectively summarized this entire document for you, easy to understand, easy to read. And I could even do further things like I would like to draft an email to my team that summarizes this PDF. I can say that, for example, and now it's following up on that. What's the subject? What are you saying? Et cetera, et cetera. Really cool stuff. In the 2 minutes we have left here, I'm going to jump back to SharePoint. So I'm going to put Copilot to the side there. And what I want to show you guys is the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint. Right now we're in OneDrive. This is Jordan's OneDrive, okay? Jordan also works for a larger company, though, and that company, like I mentioned, maybe back in the day, had shared drives on a server. Well, that's what SharePoint is for now. Jordan is part of the marketing team, so you'll notice that this is the marketing SharePoint site. Some cool things I want to point out here. SharePoint sites can have landing pages. That's this home page. Landing pages you can put company news on, so they're launching new international marketing initiatives. Maybe Jordan is the one who administers this. Well, I can go in here and make a new post. I can say whatever I want to say about cool new marketing news for the company. Everybody who's part of the marketing team can see that now. In addition, anything that's here that lives in the document repository for the SharePoint site, anybody else who has access to this SharePoint site can now collaborate on these documents. I'm going to open up this Word document here to show you real quick what I mean by that. For example, maybe Jordan is collaborating on this marketing, looks like a one-pager here, multiple pager on one of their products. And we can collaborate on this document together right here on the web. Really, really neat. Other things people can do, you can even leave comments. You know, I think we should change this wording. Send that off. Whoever else is responsible for maybe putting the final touches on this can review that. They can give it a thumbs up. They can even say, okay, cool, we've resolved this. I fixed that wording for you, Jordan. So We're at time here. So much to talk about with OneDrive and SharePoint, and this is going to be another one of those that I'm going to want to have a follow-up on, which we will. But I hope I've at least gone over a taste of what OneDrive and SharePoint can give you. Imagine all your company's files in here, everybody's personal work-related files in here. Just imagine sort of the world of possibilities for collaboration, for ease of use, et cetera. It's really fantastic. And again, truly everything I just showed you here on the computer, you can do on your phone too. Sitting on an airplane somewhere, maybe you're at the airport, you can't have your laptop out. You can do those things in your phone too, or an iPad. So really neat, really great place, opportunity for collaboration. Anyway, I'm a minute over now. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits here. Any questions, shoot me an email. All you guys have my contact information. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy the week ahead. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.